Hi folks, and welcome to this API Platform online meetup. Today, I'm very happy to have Matthew Holt with us. Matthew is the creator of the KDE web server, and after my talk, he will present this server. So today, I will speak about the new features we introduced in API Platform 2.6. My name is Kevin Dinglas. I work at Letl.coop. It means the lime tree in English. I'm the creator of API Platform, but also of the Mercure protocol, a real-time protocol for web applications, and of the Vulkan protocol, an architectural style for web APIs, allowing to preload the relations of the current relations. So it's a tiny protocol that is performance-oriented. I'm also a member of the Symfony core team, and you can follow me on the usual social networks, including Twitter, GitHub, or Mastodon, using my last name as handle. Letl.coop. So it's a professional services company, and we are working around APIs, cloud, PHP, and JavaScript topics. We have a lot of experts in our company. So if you need some development or programmation services around these topics, you can just drop us a mail. What's new in this new version of API Platform? So a lot of work has been done by the community on API Platform 2.6. The previous version, API Platform 2.5, has been released in 2019. And so API Platform 2.6 is more than 1 year of work. And only on the PHP library, there are more than 500 commits that has been contributed by the community. And as you will see in the next few slides, API Platform is also a lot of other components written in JavaScript and other languages. And so the commits that have been made on these components are not counted here. So it's a very huge version with a lot of new features in the PHP library, but also on the other part of the framework. One of the main new features, broad architectural change actually in API Platform 2.6 is that now, by default, even if you can choose the architectural style that you want to follow, by default, API Platform encourages to use the Jamstack architectural style. So basically, it means that you will have a front-end application that will be a static application. So it will be composed only of HTML, JavaScript, and other static files, images and things like that. And actually, this website will be compiled and will be able to be stored in CDN or things like that. In API Platform 2.6, we integrated several front-end technologies, so you can choose your preferred front-end framework and use the integrations that we have created to generate a static website. So there are different strategies. It can be a fully static website. It can be a website that is partially static and partially dynamic, and it can be dynamic websites with server-side rendering. We will see that in a few minutes. So basically, you will be able to design your API using the server component of API Platform, and then to scaffold your website using the code generator that we provide in API Platform, and the static application will include all the data, all the contents that are served by your API Platform API. To do so, you can use CI systems. And for instance, in API Platform 2.6, we now provide an integration with GitHub Action. So when you install API Platform 2.6, you have the GitHub Action pipelines to generate your front-end application from the content served by the API that is provided in the API Platform distribution. So basically, you will have your API or your APIs built with the server-side component of API platform written in PHP, and you will have a static website built using a popular JavaScript framework, most likely, that will consume this API. This API, it can consume it at build time to generate the pages that will be served, and it can also, or additionally, consume it at runtime to serve dynamic contents. The main tool we worked on to support the Jamstack architecture properly is the API platform client generator. So this tool is a command line tool written in JavaScript that will parse the API documentation exposed by API platform. It supports the Hydra API format, it's the preferred format, and there is also support for the Open API format, but it's still experimental. Then you can bring skeletons that will be able to use what is described in the API documentation, for instance, all the types and all the URLs, all the relations between the data, all the filters that you can apply on the validation rules. All these things are described in the API documentation. And so the API platform client generator will be able to use this data to scaffold a JavaScript application. To do so, you can plug skeletons, and we have skeletons for a lot of existing technology, including React, Vue, TypeScript to generate TypeScript models, and other things like that for a long time. In this tool is able to work with any API exposing an Hydra or an Open API documentation, even if the API is not written in PHP, even if this API is not using the server-side part of API platform. It can work with any API, providing the proper API documentation. In API Platform 2.6, we added new skeletons to this tool. And especially, we added a skeleton for the Next.js framework, which is a very popular JavaScript framework built on top of React. This skeleton has support for what we call SSG, and SSG means static site generation. So it means that with the GitHub Actions that we provide, you can build a static website that will contain all the pages of the website that with data fetched at build time from the API. It also supports server-side rendering. This time, you still have HTML generated server-side, so it's nice for search engines and things like that, but it's dynamic. And you can also mix both strategies. So this new generator that we introduced in API Platform 2.6 replaces the old generator that was using React and Redux. This generator is still available, but by default now, it's the Next.js generator that is used. By default, also, it uses TypeScript, and so it provides a nice type system for JavaScript. And it has a lot of features. This generator scaffolds the standard Next.js application, and you can use all the features provided by this framework. So to execute it, you just have to run this command line tool, and you get a working application with a list with the forms, the delete button, client-side and server-side validation, etc. And it works out of the box. We also created another skeleton for Nuxt.js. Nuxt.js, it's almost the same thing as Next.js, but using the Vue framework, the Vue JavaScript library, instead of using React as in Next.js. So with API Platform 2.6, you have the choice. By default, we ship Next.js, but if you prefer to use the Vue ecosystem, then you can use Nuxt.js, and that works too. We also added a lot of new features in the server-side component of API Platform in the PHP library. And especially, we added support for the last version of PHP, PHP 8. So API Platform 2.6 is entirely compatible with PHP 8 and use some of the new features introduced by this new version. It's still compatible with PHP 7 too, at least in version 2. We will keep compatibility with PHP 7. Probably that we will drop compatibility with PHP 7 in API Platform 3. Now, when you install API Platform with the distribution, you get a Docker image of PHP 8. So we use PHP 8 by default. And all annotations provided by API Platform has been replaced by PHP 8 attributes. So we still support annotations for backward compatibility, but by default, we promote the use of annotations, the use of attributes, which are a new native feature of the language. So it looks like this. Now, instead of the hack using the PHP documentation annotation and doctrine annotations, you can use the native feature of the language. So of course, it's cleaner. Another interesting feature is a refactoring of the configuration system. Now, it's easy to configure global defaults that will apply to all resources and all operations that you can do on these resources of the whole project. So it wasn't possible before. It was mandatory to have a specific configuration for every resource class that you expose through the API. It's not the case anymore, and so you can simplify the configuration a lot. So now you can set default options, default settings that will apply to all operations on all resources exposed by the API Platform API in a YAML file. So for instance, here we enable only the get operations on the API, so it becomes a read-only API for all resources. And we enable the integration with the Mercure protocol, which is a real-time async protocol, allowing the server to push the updates made to the entities to all connected clients using server-sent events. Of course, you can still override the configuration for a specific resource using PHP 8 attributes or annotations like this. And you can override a global configuration or a configuration applied to a specific resource for a specific operation. So for instance, here we set the Mercure support only for the post operation of this resource, on this resource. Another very interesting feature that has been contributed in API Platform 2.6 is access control for properties. So you can, in API Platform, there is a security configuration option allowing to write security rules that will control access to resources. So even in previous version of API Platform, you were able to use the specific expression language integration. So expression language is a Symfony component allowing to write rules like this one, and especially security rules. In this example, only connected users with the admin role are able to access to all the resources. So you can use it now with the new global configuration system. Of course, you can only apply this configuration for a specific resource. So now you will be able to access to the greeting resources only if you are an admin. Other people will get an authorization error from the API. And it's also possible to specify security rules for specific operations. So for instance, here, anonymous users can access to data, create new data, delete new data, but they cannot read this data. Only admins can read this data. And because of these specific rules for specific operations. But until API Platform 2.6, it wasn't possible to specify that some users with a given role can access to some properties, but not to other properties. It was only a per resource access control mechanism. Now, it's possible to use these security rules on specific properties. In this example, only people with the admin role will be able to access, to see this property. For people who aren't administrators of the application, this property will not be serialized at all. So they will be able to access to this resource, but they will not see this property. It works for read, but it also works for writes. Another big improvement in API Platform 2.6 is related to OpenAPI. In API Platform 2.6, Antoine Bluchet refactored the whole OpenAPI subsystem. As you may know, API Platform is able to automatically generate the OpenAPI documentation corresponding to the API that you create. But sometimes you want to tweak the output of the OpenAPI documentation. For instance, you may want to add the security schemes that are supported by your API. In API Platform 2.5, where it was mandatory to access to the raw PHP array, and to change this array, it wasn't very convenient. In API Platform 2.6, there is now an object-oriented API allowing to modify and to create OpenAPI documentations. Actually, this library can even work without the full framework. It's a standalone set of classes that you can use in any project to build an API documentation. And it makes it very easier than before to tweak and to customize the OpenAPI documentation exposed by API Platform. There are many more new features that have been added to the API Platform PHP library. For instance, there is no support for GraphQL subscriptions because API Platform also supports GraphQL. It uses under the hood the Mercure protocol. There is support for Mercure in REST or with GraphQL when you are using MongoDB instead of a relational database. There is support for new annotation introduced in the Symfony serializer, including annotations to ignore some properties and annotation to change, to customize the name of a property in the JSON document. There are better support for identifiers and especially compose and complex identifiers. There is a better support for the Vulkan protocol. But one of the main change in API Platform is in the distribution. So the distribution of API Platform is the skeleton that we ship when you go on the API Platform website, and that contains everything you need to bootstrap a project. And especially it contains a Docker configuration, a Docker definition, and a Docker compose definition, allowing to start the project in a single command, Docker compose up. In API Platform 2.5, to support all the features of the framework, we were shipping a lot of services. PHP and a database, and 2 Node.js containers for the JavaScript tools, and a container to support the Vulkan protocol through a gateway server, a container to support the Mercure protocol through a specific service, a specific container to generate the TLS certificates to be able to use HTTPS even in development, and a lot of things like that. It was complex. Hard to manage, hard to deploy in production, even if it were working properly, if it was working properly. In API Platform 2.6, we made the choice to simplify everything by using the KDE web server. So Matthew will present KDE in depth after me, so I will not be too long on KDE, but with KDE, you can have a single process, a single binary, doing most of what is needed to have a modern web application, including the web server, TLS management, HTTPS servers and things like that, API gateway, caching, and a lot of things. So KDE is free and open source and is now included in the distribution in API Platform 2.6. It is super fast and it is written in Go. It is extensible. You can write your own modules for KDE. it have native support for PHP through PHP FPM, so it's nice for API platform, obviously. It natively supports HTTPS in production, but also locally. It can generate automatically self-signed certificates. It supports HTTP 2, but also HTTP 3. It is cloud native. You can change the configuration by using a built-in web API, so it's very nice. And it also supports Kubernetes. It can be used as a Kubernetes ingress. The nice thing with Caddy is that you can have one daemon to expose your whole API platform application. And this single web server is able to support Mercure through a module, because you can extend Caddy by writing your own modules, Vulkan through a module, because you can extend Caddy, and you can even have HTTP cache right into the single binary, right into the Caddy web server. So in API Platform 2.6, the distribution is not very easy to use. There is still PHP, because it's mandatory. There is the Caddy server. And there is Postgres and Node for Next.js, which are optional. In 2.5, there were a Node.js container for the client and a Node.js container for the admin of API Platform. Now it's a single React application. The Caddy server acts as a proxy. So basically now we don't use subdomains for the API and for the client and for the admin. Everything is served on a single domain. And so it's way easier and more performant, because you don't need CORS request for the client or the admin from the client or the admin to the API, because it's on the same domain. Now we have /API, which gives access to the documentation, and from the same domain, you get the client-side tools. And the Caddy server uses content negotiation to select which backend to use. If it's an API request, most likely in JSON, it will hit the PHP server. But if it's an HTML request, most likely a front-end request, then it will route the request to the Node.js container and to the Next.js application. So we replaced the standalone Mercure binary by a Caddy module. We also replaced the standalone Vulkan gateway server by a Caddy module. And we are working on a new module to add full HTTP cache support to Caddy, and the goal is to replace Varnish. So it's not finished right now. It's usable, but it's still in the early stages, and some key features, including cache invalidation, are still missing. But we hope that we will finish something very soon, and so it will be still it will be a Caddy module that will be in this single binary. Because to use Caddy, we changed the whole distribution. We also changed the Docker definition and the Helm chart for Kubernetes. And I'm working on the documentation of this part, but now you can deploy in production using Docker Compose. Before, in 2.5, it was only possible to use Docker Compose in development. It was hard to use it in production. Now it's very easy. It's a single command to deploy your app in production using Docker Compose. And we also created a new chart for Kubernetes. For small sites, you probably want to use Docker Compose because it's easier to use than Kubernetes. For larger sites, the Kubernetes integration is the way to go. If you only use the PHP library and don't want the Node.js container, don't want a database system, don't want to use things like that, then we also created a new repository called Symfony Docker, and it contains the same Caddy-based setup that we have created for API Platform, but with support for any PHP application and only for PHP and Symfony. So there is no Node containers and things like that. Also, we patched the Flex part of Symfony, and now when you install a library using Symfony and Symfony Flex. Symfony is able to detect the services that are needed by this library and to install the Docker services for you automatically. It will update your Docker compose file, for instance. For instance, let's say that you want to install API platform in an existing Symfony project, or you just want to install the Doctrine ORM, automatically a Postgres service will be added to your Docker Compose file, and everything will be configured automatically. So basically, just with this command, you get a working database system that you can use for development and the proper configuration to use it. Many other services are now supported using this Docker configurator for Symfony Flex. And if you don't want to use Docker at all, that's not a problem. You can still use KDE with all the modules that we added for KDE. You can just go on the KDE website and download KDE using download KDE by selecting the modules that we created for API platform, especially the Mercure and the Vulkan module. And you can also build your own binaries by using the xkd command that is provided by the KDE team. We also introduced a new component in API Platform 2.6 called the ActivityPub component. So as you may know, I care about an open and decentralized web, and I have a specific talk on this topic that you can find on my website called Save the Web Decentralized, explaining why you should build decentralized web applications. But unfortunately, it's not that easy to do. A common protocol and very popular protocol for decentralized web applications and especially decentralized social networking application is the ActivityPub protocol. It's a recommendation from the W3C, and it's the protocol that is implemented by Mastodon, for instance, but also by PeerTube, Mobilism, and other federated and decentralized web applications. And the main point of ActivityPub is that all the applications supporting implementing this protocol are interoperable and compatible together. So for instance, you can subscribe to a Mastodon account with your PeerTube account. So in API Platform 2.6, we added a new component implementing the whole protocol. So it means that you can turn any existing PHP or Symfony or API application in a one implementing the ActivityPub protocol and, for instance, compatible with Mastodon just by installing this protocol. So you can take a look at it on our GitHub repository. It's API Platform on GitHub/ActivityPub. Also, we announced API Platform version 3. So API Platform version 3 will be released this year, and it will be API Platform 2.7, the next version, without the backward compatibility part. So it means that API Platform 2.7 will be backward compatible with API Platform 2.6 and will contain all the features that will be in API Platform 3. But API Platform 3 will be the same thing, but without the backward compatibility with API Platform 2. The goal is to remove the old code, the legacy code that we have in the code base, to simplify it and to make the maintenance easier. This project will most likely be PHP 8 only. We are working on a new configuration system, an improved configuration system that will be closer to the REST architecture than the current one, and that will make resources first-class citizens. One last thing, I want to thank all the API Platform community, because this version has been made possible only because many people contributed code, documentation, and many things to the API Platform project. So thank you to all the contributors, code contributors, but also contributors doing other things on the framework. So thank you. It's very important for us. The main part of the API Platform project is its community, and it's why this framework is so useful and popular, it's because people work on it. So to thank all these people, we now promote all contributors of APA platform on the website. So there is a list of contributors and a specific page for every contributor of the project, regardless of if it's code contributions or documentation contribution, for instance. For the Oktoberfest, we also created nice t-shirts, as you can see. So if you are an APA platform contributor and made PRs during the Oktoberfest, drop us a mail to get your free t-shirt. One more thing, I'm very happy to announce the first physical APA platform conference. This conference will be in Lille in September. It will be a physical event, so we will see how it will work with the COVID situation, but we are very confident that we will be able to make this event. So go on the apaplatform.com/con website and you will see the announcement of this conference and some details. We will announce the lineup very soon. So I will be very happy to see you physically and to invite you to this APA platform conference that will be in Lille in September. So be there and you can already buy the tickets. In case you cannot go, in the case where you cannot go in Lille, the event will be broadcasted online too. So it's also possible to register to the conference online. So thank you very much. And now it will be Matt Holt that will speak about the KDE web server. See you in Lille.